Well, hello everyone. Um, Let me just make sure that everybody can hear me and see me. If you have any issues hearing or seeing me, if you can type in the chat box on the right side, and I will um, type a little message just in case someone can't hear me. Okay, so I don't see anybody with any issues thus far, so we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Carrie Moore, and I am the principal at ISDM. And what we're going to go over today is how you can, some things that you can do to increase your rankings with Google, as well as Bing and Yahoo, as well as using social media, and how do you use it to get new clients. The days of, going out on the golf course to seal, deals with handshakes are over. I mean, I remember when I first got out of school, my first job at a landscape architecture firm, literally my boss, John Lesniak, would go out and he would, shake hands with the engineer or the architect with which we were getting new business. And that was how business was done. But, things have changed significantly, obviously, since, the internet is around now. And so obviously the marketing has to change for how you can achieve new clients. So let's talk about why you need good rankings online. Well, obviously it gets you more clients, which increases your bottom line. Also, when you have higher rankings, it means that the clients are finding you instead of you going out and trying to actively market them and putting forth a lot of effort on your part. If your website is ranking high, it's going to bring people to you. So the other item is, if you think about what is the value of one particular client. I know that when I had my firm in Florida, my first year, I got one client that stayed with me the entire length of time that I had my firm, which was over 10 years. So you think about, and this was an engineer and did many, many projects a year. You think about the value of one client. It really shows you how important having high website rankings and doing social media truly is, because it can mean literally hundreds of thousands of dollars by just getting one new client. So the way that Google does its rankings have changed. I think it was about a year and a half ago, Google changed the rankings. So it's possible that you may have been ranking decently a year and a half ago, and now all of a sudden your website can't be found. And the reason for this is Google has said that they want to rank websites based on engagement. So what does engagement mean? Well, have you noticed that everyone has started a blog? Well, it's not because everybody wants to have a blog. It's because that is one of the major factors for how Google ranks websites, is if you have some content on your website that people are making comments on, sharing it, spending a decent amount of time reading it. And so that is why all the firms now, the larger firms, they all have their own in-house marketing person. And so if you're not somebody who can afford to have your own full-time marketing social media person, now it's kind of falling on your shoulders to produce social media content so that you can have a chance at ranking. So let's take a look at some sites. There's a couple other things though, actually, before we take a look at some sites. There's some other factors that help increase rankings, which are backlinks. So backlinks are basically when somebody links to your website. That is a backlink. So if you have a developer that say you did a project for and they're featuring your design on their website, and they say, you know, SWA, you know, did this design, and then they have the HTTP / with the SWA website after that, that would count as a backlink. So that is one simple way that you can increase some of your rankings, is by having people that you know have your work on their website, just adding a link back to your website. And you can also, and not even a lot of web people know this, but you can also submit your site to Google. And you can also submit it to Bing and Yahoo. And I have seen the difference between when somebody submits their website to Google and when they don't. And if you don't submit your website to Google, or your web person didn't do it, which most of them don't, then you are going up a much steeper hill than you would ever need to go up. So let me share my screen with you, and we'll go over some of this stuff that on some of the websites that I can show you exactly how to tell what increases. All right, so let me then minimize this. Okay, so you should be seeing my screen now. And let me actually just move this over here so I can make sure. Okay, so right now you should be looking at Los Angeles landscape architecture on Google. And so when we Google this, what you see is, you know, you've got these companies here, which these companies right here are ranking within this box because they have a Google Plus account. And so that is locating their exact location. And so this is one way you can kind of get yourself, you know, in the top here, is by having a Google Plus account. Now, Google Plus, if you're not familiar with it, all you need is a Gmail account, which you can set up a free Gmail account. And then once you set it up, you can see I'm signed in to the Gmail account for ISDM. You can click here and then click here, and you can create your own Google Plus account. And so that will help you show up here. At the very least, that would increase most people's rankings. But then as we go down, if you look, there's hoots.com, you know, you're not going to rank higher than sites like this because they've, you know, got hundreds of thousands of backlinks to them. You know, you're not going to rank higher than Yelp. But if you see after these, you're starting to get to some firms here. And what I want to show you is, here's SWA. And if you also see, here is also SWA, but you can see they're running ads. And this is what a lot of the firms now that have a marketing budget are doing, is, you know, creating ads like this. And so what they are titling the ad is Top Landscape Architects. So they're assuming that one of the Google search results, you know, that one of the things that people are going to be Googling here for is top landscape architects. And so when they do, they're going to come up here. So I'm not going to click on this because this will actually charge them, my guess is probably about $3.20 per click. But if you think about it, if they end up getting a $10,000 project off of that ad, then that $3.20 was well worth it. But let's take a look at their website. Okay. So I'm going to go through some of the things that helps increase rankings. One thing to take a look at is kind of the style of their website. I mean, they definitely have a particular font style, almost like a typewriter style font, but it's the wide, full screen, very modern looking website. And I haven't checked this, but I'm almost positive that their website is mobile responsive. Now that's really important because another way that Google will kind of knock you down in rankings is if someone pulls up your website on their cell phone and it's not mobile responsive. So maybe, your site, it doesn't shrink down to the size of people's cell phones and tablets. The other thing you can see here is, they've got different languages because obviously they do work overseas, but here is their blog. And so what they did was they just basically added a subdomain, which is what the ideas.swa is. And so they've got here like little blog posts, and they're, looking for people to share it via Facebook and Twitter. And these are probably going to be the same posts that you see on their social media account. And so this is ways that they're trying to get links back to their website. So you can see they've got Instagram. That's what this symbol is if you're not, up on the social media. Instagram's a great one to be on for landscape architects because it's, it's pictures. Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. So they've got this blog. Let's go back to, this is their main site. And so all of those are basically linking back. All those posts that they posted on social media are linking back to this main site. And then let me show you this. So the news and press. So they've got here, these are just different places where they've gotten press from and news. Okay, this is the Forbes. And so you can see they're writing about the project. And in here, there's a link to, somewhere in here, there's a link to their website. And so this is what a backlink is. If you can get news, media, you can get your developers, your civil engineers, whoever your client is, to put a link on their website and link it back to your actual site, that's a backlink. And that will absolutely increase your rankings. So let me get out of here. And one of the things that I would kind of caution against is I would not be putting the social media on their main page. And the reason is that the workflow really is supposed to be from social media. You want to get them to your homepage. And then once they're here, the last thing you want to do is send them back to social media, other than on the blog. But you can see that they've got news and press. So they're promoting, the most important, press that they've gotten. But their blog is barely even shown. If you didn't scroll all the way to the bottom, you would not know that they had a blog. So you don't have to make the blog very prominent. You just need the links. Now let me show you. Okay, and this is actually their Facebook page. So you can see, you're probably wondering if you're not currently doing anything on Facebook yourself, as far as for your business. You're probably kind of wondering, well, what do I post on Facebook for my business? Besides maybe portfolio pictures. Well, one of the top things to do is to just educate people. So you can see here, they've got links and posts to just different things related to landscape architecture that maybe they didn't write these posts, because you can see it links back to the New York Times. So if I was to click on this, it'll go to the New York Times. If they wanted to really increase their rankings, if they took this article from the New York Times and they just summarized it on their site, on their blog, and had this link to their blog, and then said, if you want to read the full article, click here, and their blog then linked to this New York Times post, that would really help them, instead of having this go to the New York Times. And then as you scroll down, you can see a lot of these are linking to other places, which is not the best way of doing it, but it gives them content, so that when they do share things like this, you can see this is something that is specific to them. This is something that is, portfolio type items, things that they have done. Okay, so that's a little bit about SWA. Now let me show you a slightly contrasting site. So this site is landscape design. It ranks in the top for Los Angeles landscape design. Okay, and I just want to show you some things on this site, because it's a little different. I think visually it could use a little help, but they rank very well, and there's certain reasons for that. When you look down here, they've got a sitemap. Now, a sitemap basically is a map of your site that is done by your web developer, that then allows the Google robots or bots to actually find your website. So if you haven't submitted your website to Google, the bots might actually find your website, because they just kind of crawl around the internet. If you think about like little spiders or little robots crawling around the internet trying to find new pages, that's what the bots look for, is they look for a sitemap. And so there's a specific web way that you need to do this so that Google can find you. Another thing that they do really well is their newsletter. So they are collecting names and email addresses, and they're sending out newsletters. Now, this is something that I would suggest always, sending out newsletters to your clients, maybe once a month, once every 2 months, and just, it can be educational. It can be something new that is out, say maybe you just found out about biochar. That's actually a course that we just posted. And so you can do a whole newsletter on biochar and how your clients can use that in their projects. And so by collecting their name and email, it's just reminding them, it's getting in front of them again via email, and you're just informing them. You're not like asking them, hey, do you have any new projects? It's just a more pleasant way of, getting back in front of them if they haven't given you any work in a while, or even if they still are giving you work, that you can, provide them some free content to help them out. Now, what they do really well on this site is these newsletters are actual web pages. And you can tell that by this, because this is obviously a web page. It's not a PDF. And the reason why that is really helping them is because this is another web page. This gives them all these other chances to rank in Google, because every page is going to have keywords associated with it. Whereas, and I didn't show this on SWA, but when you click on SWA's newsletters, they're actually PDFs. And so they're not getting any credit as far as from Google for the PDFs. So let's see. And then, I mean, they're leveraging other people's brands. So these are events that I guess they were a part of. And so they're getting credit for some of these events that, you know, CBS Los Angeles. So maybe this was something that CBS did. And so they're kind of leveraging other people's brands for their own ranking benefit. So now, if you guys have any questions, feel free to, you know, type them in the chat box, and I will actually answer them as I can. Now, let me show you. Let me actually stop sharing my screen. And I will, there we go. Let me show you, this is a 2-minute video where I basically will show you exactly the rankings behind these couple websites and all the specific factors and keywords and backlinks. It's kind of the, you know, the behind the scenes look at what Google is actually looking at. So this is just I think it's a 2-minute video that I had to record on the PC because a lot of this stuff won't work on Macs. So, and then I'll be right back as soon as this finishes playing. Okay, so let's take a look at the two websites that we looked at, SWA and Garden of Eva. You can see here that the SWA site, the rankings we can see here are 5th on Yahoo, 9 on Google, 10 on Bing. And these are based on those factors that we talked about. But you can see here they've got, there's the rankings on Google, Bing, and Yahoo. And you can see here they've got over 10,000 backlinks. And here's some of the backlinks that it's currently finding. And one of the things is still searching, but one of the things we look at is the PA, which is page authority. And then there's these other rankings like index, which will tell you if the page has been indexed by, say, Google. And those are the things that add up to add the rankings. Then under research, if we type in Los Angeles landscape architecture, and then it's currently fetching all the SERPs, which are basically how many times is the term searched for in search engines. So we've got Los Angeles landscape architecture, and you can see the global count and that the competition is pretty low, but this is how much people pay per click, $3.20. That's an average.
And then this is the number of search. Looking at these backlinks, we can also look at pay-per-click. But looking at these backlinks, if we copy this and go to this site, you can see they've got an article here for SWA.
Okay, so that shows you a little bit about the behind the scenes type of SEO stuff that Google is looking at. I mean, there's a lot more stuff than that, but what I wanted to do today was just kind of give you an overall idea of some simple ways that you on your own could actually improve your rankings. Things beyond adding a blog to your website and trying to get your developers to add links to their sites back to your site. You could submit it to Google. I think unless you're fairly web savvy and understand your own website, that's probably a little bit over most people's heads who aren't web developers. And so that might be a little bit too much, but those are some simple ways that you can actually increase your rankings, as well as just putting stuff out on your social media sites. So the Facebooks, the Twitters, the Instagrams, even on LinkedIn. But the thing with LinkedIn is that most people, unless they are searching for a job, aren't actually on LinkedIn every day. I would say that it's most people log in once in a while and that's it. So I wouldn't spend a lot of time, marketing and on LinkedIn. But for things like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, I would. So if I was trying, let's say had my firm we're located in Houston, Texas. So if I, had my firm in Houston, Texas, and there was a particular developer that I wanted to try and get some work from, what I would do if I had no introductions to them, no way to, meet them in person, no common contacts, what I would do is I would have my company page for my Facebook, for my Twitter, etc., start following whoever this developer is. And so then I would start looking for posts that they make that are really kind of interesting and that I genuinely found helpful, interesting, exciting. And then I would retweet it or share it or make a comment on it. Because if they are monitoring their own social media, which they should be, they will start to notice you over time. Now, this has to be genuine. It can't be a forced, if you're saying that this is the best post ever and it clearly was just kind of a, quick and easy little post that they made, it's going to come across as disingenuous and you're going to really kind of blow your chance to potentially get work from them. But if you're truly genuine and, a lot of times what'll happen is when you start following somebody on Twitter and you start commenting on what they are posting, many times they will start to follow you back. And so that's one way. And then you can start, you have your posts that you're making about your portfolio and, educational things that might help them, with their development, if they're doing neighborhood community development or if they're developing parks, whatever they're doing. And so it's this sort of, this courting process. This is not something that you should immediately find them on Facebook, their company page, and then start, trying to contact them and saying, hey, I really want your work, because that's not going to go over well. It's something that has to be, a little bit you have to kind of plan it out, and you have to take some time and be genuine about it, because it comes across extremely fake if you immediately contact them and are just like, hey, I'd love to work with you. Well, they're sure you would love to take money from them for projects, but you have to be genuine about it. And so that's kind of how I would start, if I was doing something in Houston trying to get particular clients. I would also make sure my website was submitted to Google, had the site map, had the keywords and meta tags. So those are a little bit more advanced terminology. So if you're not familiar with those terms, you can always contact your web developer and make sure that these items have been taken care of. You can also make sure your site is mobile responsive. Just pull it up on your cell phone. And if your whole site isn't fitting on your cell phone, it's not mobile responsive. And so that is a huge ding on Google. You won't rank in the top 10 for anything if you do not have a mobile responsive site. Generally speaking, it takes some time to build up your rankings. So let's say you added the items that I talked to you about today, you add them to your website today, and you submit everything to Google and you start adding backlinks. You'll start to see some progress in about 3 months. And it usually will take, say, 3 to 6 months to get up to, the first page or so on Google. Yahoo and Bing are a little bit faster to increase in rankings, but Google, it takes a little bit longer, and it depends, like how I showed you on the Los Angeles landscape architecture. If you've got Hoots and you've got Yelp and you've got Indeed, these big companies that are ranking on the top page, on the top 10 results, you can basically count out the fact that you're not going to be ranking higher than them. So, really your top 10 would be your top, it would go all the way to page 2, because those sites you're never going to rank higher than, or the ASLA. You can maybe rank higher than the ASLA depending on how active your particular chapter is. But generally speaking, your ASLA is going to rank very high, and your colleges. So if you are in an area that has tons of landscape architecture colleges, they're going to rank high too, because they've got all the links from the whole college. So, I don't want you guys to be unrealistic about, trying to beat those sites. It's just not going to happen. But the good thing is that, competition for landscape architecture rankings in general, the vast majority of landscape architects, we don't know online stuff. We know AutoCAD, we know tons of programs, we know how to, depending on how old you are, you know how to draft by hand. But we don't build websites, we don't do SEO. And so that's why if you do these things, it is going to significantly increase your rankings pretty dramatically. Like if you don't even appear now, if you get tired of looking for your website, you're clicking on page 8, page 9, page 10, and you give up before you even find your website, then that can dramatically improve. You should be able to get to page, at least 2, 3, 4, and that makes a huge difference. It all comes back down to, what's the value of one client? And, I guess it kind of depends upon the area of landscape architecture you're in. If you're doing residential design, if you're doing high-end design, it might be one project that's $30,000, $40,000. But if you're doing community development or park development, things like that, that are larger projects, or working with civil engineers or architects. You could work with that same, company, the same civil engineer for 10 years, like I did. And that one client was, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth. So it really is worth it to invest a little bit of time and money into making sure that you're doing the things that you can, these basic things, to rank higher. The other thing that you can do, and this is if you really have a marketing budget, which I know a lot of firms don't really have a marketing budget, but you can do ads like we saw from SWA. That is Google AdWords is where they're putting that in. But like I showed you, that one is going to cost, for them, it was ranging around $3.20 per click. So that's every time someone clicks on it, whether they end up giving you a project or not. So that can get kind of expensive pretty fast. Obviously, SWA has the budget to do that. But if you're a smaller firm, that's probably not in your wheelhouse of marketing money. But what might be is, improving your website, doing social media stuff so that, you can increase your rankings and get in front of people. Let's see, what else we got? There's also retargeting, which you can actually add pixels on your website. So for instance, if you have ever gone to Walmart and you looked at buying a pair of shoes, and then you are searching elsewhere on the internet for something else, all of a sudden you start seeing Walmart's ads everywhere, right? It's like Walmart starts stalking you online. That's called retargeting. And you can actually do that for relatively cheap. And so it's people that come to your website. So they're obviously most likely interested in landscape architecture, unless they accidentally clicked on your site for some reason. And, so they're in the mode of looking for a landscape architect, which is the right time to try and get somebody and get a new client. And so you can actually kind of stalk them. I know it's a little creepy, but you can kind of stalk them around the internet and show your ad to them wherever they go for the next 30 days. And so that's another thing to potentially consider. Let me show you one more thing. Let me share my screen and okay, William, what software is that? You mean the software from the video? If you're talking about the software from the video, that's a software that you're probably not going to want to get. It's pretty expensive. It's Traffic Travis, but it's, I know that it runs us over $200 a month to use it. So plus the initial fees. So it's probably not something you're going to want to use because it's really only done for research. We use that research to then put into our SEO tools to create links and to do SEO. Because one of the things that we do besides doing online continuing education is we have to make sure you guys can find us. And that's why I have this knowledge, is because I'm a registered landscape architect, but I had to learn this world of online, because if I cannot reach landscape architects, there's no way you're going to be able to find my continuing education. So that's one of the reasons that I've learned how to do all this, is so that I can reach you guys for the continuing education. Now let me share with you, I'm going to share my screen real quick. And let me do this. Now, this is, I want to show you this website because this is a very nice website that is the type of website that your website should have a similar style. And the reason I say this is because this is the considered kind of the modern design of websites. And so there's, it goes full, I mean, you can cut it down where it has, kind of, they call it boxed look, where, you've got an edge to the page, but it needs to have a kind of a sleek, modern look to it. Now, this is focused on architecture, but obviously, and this is all fake text, but what I want to show you about this is not only the design. See, they've got everything listed out here. So you could have here community design, you could have parks, you could have planning, you could have all of these things. You have your portfolio page, so that when you click on it, the portfolio page brings up all your details about who you did the project for and the size and the budget, etc. Now, and so this site here, and this would be where your blog would be. This site right here, if you were looking to have a brand new website done for your firm, this website, if we developed it for you, basically just replacing the pictures and the text to whatever you're looking for, it would run $1,800. And the reason I am telling you that is because most of the time, landscape architects end up getting ripped off by graphic designers because you just don't know how much a website costs. And so this, if you wanted customizations, it'd be more than the 1,800. But if you think about this, if you take your existing website and you ask whoever your previous web developer was to edit things so that you can have a sitemap, so that you can be ranking higher in Google, and they start giving you prices of a couple $1,000s, and I'm not talking about SEO, but I'm talking about just updating your site so that you can have a blog and so that you can rank in Google. And if they quote you a couple $100s, they're ripping you off. Okay, so that's why I want to give you this price point, because this will give you a reference point essentially. So if you wanted a website like this, $1,800. If you wanted to update your site, this is our marketing department, and I'll put this link actually in the chat box. But the way we do it is, unlike most places, it's how much time do we actually spend. So most sites will never change. Like if you just wanted to add a couple new pictures to your portfolio page, they're going to want to charge you hundreds of dollars because it's such a small task that it's going to take them, they're not going to make any money on it. And so they're going to want to charge you more. So this is the way we do it. We do it per hours. Your hours roll over. So if you do a monthly plan for 1 month and then you want to cancel it because you only want the 5 hours, that's fine. And you only use 3 hours, no problem. Those next 2 hours will keep rolling over every single month, even if you've canceled your plan. So just want to let you guys know about this so that if you do want to update your site, that you can update it and not end up, paying way too much money. Because I can tell you, when I was, doing my site and had my firm essentially, for 10 years, I can tell you that I absolutely paid way too much for all of my web stuff. But I didn't know at that point in time. So the other thing we can help you with, if you wanted to do SEO so that we can increase your rankings, we can do that as well. But like I said, that usually takes 3 to 6 months. So, you'd have to commit to a 6-month, time of $250 a month. Now, when you add all that up, I believe that's 250 times 6 months. Yeah, that's $1,500, which if it got you one new client, I think that would be well worth it for you. But I would love to answer any questions if anyone has any questions that maybe I didn't talk about, or any topics. Okay. Well, is there, for future webinars, are there any topics in particular? Because today I just wanted to give you an overarching idea of kind of how it works with the rankings and what you can do, on your own to help increase your rankings. Is there anything specific that you would like me to focus on in the future for kind of marketing type webinars? Okay. Well, give it one more minute. Okay, well, I want to thank you guys for, we got one. The value of downloadable, William's asking, what is the value of downloadable brochures as a PDF? There's no value as far as Google is concerned, because Google can't read what's on the PDF as far as, so it's not going to be able to pick up keywords that are on your PDF. I mean, there's value in it perhaps to a potential client, but honestly, at this point in time, I mean, if they're on your website should have enough information on it then that they don't need to download a PDF. The PDFs that were on SWA's site, the newsletters, those were newsletters that they were putting up, that they had most likely emailed out to their list of clients. And then they uploaded it to their website as a PDF, so that maybe, if someone else wanted to see a past newsletter, but it's really not helping them ranking wise. Whereas the other site, the Garden of Eva, where they had it as an HTML, where it was a web page, that actually was helping them. So does that make sense? Okay, good. Yeah, so maybe future webinars might focus specifically on a social media, like say maybe one webinar on Facebook, one on Twitter, because each one of those is its own whole world, and you can do an hour webinar or more on each one of those. So if you were looking for a new website or need any website help, any social media help, we do manage whole companies' social media accounts and pages, etc. And or do any SEO to increase your rankings. I'm going to put my email address, and this is directly to me, so you can email me and I'll be happy to get on the phone with you. We can chat about what you're looking for and how we can possibly help you. And, keep your eye out for future webinars like this for free that can hopefully help you, whether, you do it yourself or have your own web people or your own social media people, go ahead and do this type of material so that you can get some more clients. So, all right. Well, I want to thank you guys for showing up. And if there's no more questions, then I'm going to go ahead and end this now. It's going to send you a replay of this. So if you want to check out the replay again, you can always do that. All right. Thanks. Bye.